Hey there team, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Worth It Then, Worth It Now. A sort of side project that we run over here on this channel where I look at some games from yesteryear. Not exactly contemporary or in vogue, but things that I enjoyed personally and I think need a bit more of an extra shout out to put on your radar, even if it's a controversial take like it is today. I mean, wouldn't you believe it? I like some games that the general mainstream do not. I guess that makes me a normal human being. And look, as best as I can, I try and line these things up with sales. At the moment, we're coming off the back of the Steam summer sale, so I can cover just about anything I want. And I had a pang. I really wanted to go back to Star Wars Outlaws, which is what we're covering today. I've got so many games I could be playing, but there is something about this, and I'll be honest, booting it up again, starting a fresh save, just to get my bearings again, get some B-roll, I'm enjoying it even more than I did last time around. God help me. So look, I'll take a moment to say, I think it's really good. I think as a Han Solo simulator, it's pretty hard to beat. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a normie, right? I watch the movies. I don't really love the new ones. I enjoyed the prequels, and the classics can't really be beat. I don't watch bloody cartoon Clone Wars or anything like that, but I recognize a lot of people do. And a lot of the modern stuff that Disney puts out is more miss than hit. However, video games wise, we've been eating well forever, right? I enjoyed the Jedi games that came out of EA. And like I said, I enjoy this. I'm not going to spend too much time ruminating on the negatives, but you also got to remember that this game exists at a point where I feel like even if it was an excellent 10 out of 10, which it's not, don't get me wrong, it's got issues. It definitely has issues, but I feel like it was going to get dragged anyway. It came onto the scene at the wrong time from the wrong developer, and in some ways pushing the wrong stuff in it as well. Right at the height and surge of a lot of counterculture, YouTube, you could say negativity bait. I'm not trying to start fights or be mean or anything like that, but there are channels that have found it's very lucrative to make your entire brand about negativity and dragging things down. What they're saying isn't necessarily wrong, but I just don't know how you could live in a world where you're constantly looking for the next big negative thing to come out of the gaming space. I'd be miserable if I did that, and I think a lot of people that do it and follow that sort of discourse are. So that's just my thoughts real quickly. I played it for review when it first came out. I put tons and tons of time into it, and I never finished it because I put time limits on my reviews, and that's one tragedy that I'm probably going to rectify this time around. I think I actually might just play through it and 100% it, because I really like it. And look, just before we leave that behind, some standout negatives that still linger with me. The main character, there's something off there. A lot of people are trying to say that there was a conspiracy theory. There might be, but we're never going to know for sure. But I think what's much more likely is the talent behind the team that was doing like facial animations for human characters is just the weak part of the team, right? And there's got to be someone. You've got to have juniors somewhere. Someone's not going to hold up to others, because you can see even in the FMV renders, there's something off about the character. It might just be because she has a weird, almost indistinct ethnicity. It's not really overt. I feel like they might have been going for something and they missed it, and they put a lot of sharp edges into her jawline and that sort of thing. Like I enjoy her wardrobe design and all that. It is very 70s. It's very original Star Wars. Even her haircut is this sort of daggy cut that you would have seen in the 70s. But when you have a look at some of the other, like the alien faces and even the animations around her pet, it's incredible. It's absolutely top tier, indistinguishable from movies or anything like that. It is ahead of the curve. So yeah, it becomes a little bit jarring that the main character is this weird, there's something going on with her eyes. They almost look alien. There's just something a bit strange about the whole animation package. And I think it's less likely that it's a conspiracy theory and more that whoever was handling it bungled it. As a character, she's not so bad as far as chatty Cathys go. A lot of it is her talking to her sidekick little dog thing, which is absolutely charming, gorgeous, whatever. I am a really Ironheart, Stoneheart, angry dude. It takes a lot to crack my surface and make me charmed. But I think Nick's your little sidekick, and he's quite functional as well. He helps in fights and stealing things because you're like a mercenary duo. He is an absolute value add, and he's very much in the spirit of Star Wars, right? Like your R2-D2s and all that. Your charming little side characters. He's a perfect fit and kind of steals the show in many ways. And look, the last thing I'll probably say, I'm not trying to make this terribly negative, but negativity is going to come for me with this video. I know it's just the culture at the moment, but the graphics are interesting, right? There are moments of absolute beauty in there. And it's because it's all built inside a very dynamic system, right? And I'm not going to give you a lecture on baked lighting versus dynamic lighting models, but usually when you use a dynamic lighting model, like day, night, that sort of thing, everything's on display and you're kind of settling for a 7 out of 10 lighting system with moments of brilliance and moments of dips, right? It gets marked on a bit of a wave, depending on time of day and where you are. And at nighttime, this game kind of falls over a little bit because they're going for a very cinematic. You can turn all the stuff on, which I did sort of halfway through my B-roll. You can put super wide angle on, which is kind of cool. And they have this weird lens with vignetting and it's a bit Vaseline. And the whole idea is to try and create this cinematic look with film grain from the 70s. And what it kind of ends up looking like is it's de-genning the graphics a bit, and at times it looks like Mass Effect 1, right? With dirty cinema grain over older generation graphics. But then there are other times where you're out in the open, in the desert of all places, that should look bland and awful, but it's beautiful. So it's a bit hit and miss. And again, like I said, if your focus is to grab it like a dog with a bone, and focus on the negative, well, yeah, of course, you can present this as a horrible looking game. But when you're driving your speeder over the rolling landscapes and grasslands and all that, there's not really much like it, especially in the Star Wars space. Very large areas of rolling beauty. Anyway, look, I've taken up a lot of time talking about that. Let's just cover off. The setup is actually pretty good. Again, playing it again from the start, I think even at the time with an open mind as I was still negatively inclined given the times of just a couple of years ago. But the setup's, it's a heist gone wrong, a bit of a framing, a chick that's sort of a troublemaker, low-tier thief, but finally bites off too much and upsets the wrong people, manages to find yourself with a ship and escaping, and then off you go. Your escapades start running across the galaxy, kind of bounty hunted unfairly, maybe, but it could also be seen as comeuppance for the life that she's led. But you get a bit of a fresh start, at least in the criminal world. And you kind of run around doing jobs and contracts for the different houses, the different crime families, and they have a reputation meter that will go up and down, and that will earn you things like cosmetics and potentially even like access to certain areas. At the moment, I'm trying to sneak in to get access to an area, but it's in gang territory and I'm not in the good books with the gang. So it's shoot on sight there basically. But if, I went away and did missions and got my standing up with them, they just let me walk in and use their shops and all that. So it's very clever. It's not the most robust system, but again, it's a AAA open world. I'm okay with these gentle, more normie systems. I really like the gunplay. Like, you're a pistolero, again, Han Solo style. I find myself hip firing a lot. The hip fire is fairly accurate and it gives you that bit of a cinematic gunfight, slide from cover to cover hip firing. You throw in a bit of melee. Yeah, the melee's a bit weird. She's a 5 foot tall, skinny as chick punching stormtroopers in their helmets, but it's also a game. I'm happy for suspension of disbelief to carry the day for me personally, because it's just fun. The loop is fun. The AI do their dumb stuff. A lot of it's borrowed from Assassin's Creed, which makes sense. Whistle dudes into bushes and punch them in the head and that sort of thing. But the moment to moment, the gunplay and moving around the world and the environs, and like I said, something that still wows me is when you get into like Imperial facilities, which are all highly reflected, grey, drab areas. But then the ray tracing just really starts to pop off with all the lights reflecting in the floors and all that. Again, it has these moments of rare beauty. But it's showing a side of the universe which I think is really cool and interesting, going all to the different dens, the Mos Eisley equivalents that you thought existed, that you never really thought you'd get to see. Cruising on a speeder bike's a lot of fun. There's a lot of side activities which I spend an outrageous amount of time in. You can bet on the trots on the horses, whatever they are. The stupid bloody horse alien things that they had in that, what was it, Last Jedi? That entire section of that movie that no one liked, but it was in there anyway on the casino planet. Well, they're here, but they're actually functional, and you can bet on the horses, and there's a whole mini game on how old they are and their odds and how energetic they are, and you can make some bank or lose everything like a degenerate. They've got Sabak, which is sort of a Texas Hold'em adjacent card game where you're trying to match these paired cards against others, and that's really addicting and fun as well. And while, I'm only early days revisiting this for B-roll, even things like, again, playing Reputation and trading and collecting different outfits and upgrading your gun, like the economy in the game has a much less money talks economy, like getting bits and pieces to upgrade your speeder or build a part of your gun. Like, it actually becomes tricky sourcing the individual little components, and you'll find yourself going to a merchant and having a look through what he's got that are not just valuables, they're like craftable items. He'll have a couple of things and something really rare but expensive, and it's like, oh, I really want that, but I can't afford it right now, and maybe I'll come back later. And like, the economy works in a more scavenger mindset, and I feel like there's something no one really talked about, because I liked it. I think it's really cool, one of the most fun parts, and it makes you really cognizant of what you're buying and what you have. There's a lot of fun to be had if you're willing to give it a go. So I know this is only my little side channel. I mean, maybe you don't know I have a much bigger main channel. You should check it out. But the hope is, if you've made it this far and you've heard everything I've said, maybe it is time to give Star Wars Outlaws a go. We don't have to necessarily agree. That's fine. You can hate it all you want and not play it. But I think some people have conditioned themselves to hate it because their favorite YouTuber told them to hate it. And no one in that entire cycle even probably gave it a fair go. And I'm telling you, with no agenda, no nothing, other than someone that just likes playing fun games and very much likes sharing that with you guys, Star Wars Outlaws is a lot of fun if you can let go of these hang-ups, legit as some of them might be. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.